John Burgos, founder and host of Beyond the Ordinary Show, has committed his life to improving and enriching the lives of others. The show offers free, live, interactive webinar broadcasts featuring the world's leading transformative thought leaders, energy healers, and spiritual masters. Moved by the profound shamanic experiences that ignited his trust in his innate intuitive abilities, John has dedicated his passion to bringing this truth of inherent intuition to the masses. In the Beyond the Ordinary Show, John Burgos speaks honestly about subjects, feelings, and thoughts that are hard to find in the mass media. The show quickly grew into an interactive community for those seeking ancient wisdom, the next generation of mystical teachings, spiritual awakening, and soulful guidance. So let me introduce him to you today on Quantum Living Live with Ilona Selke. Welcome to the Women's Broadcast Television Network, here live with Ilona Selke on Quantum Living and my super special guest, John Burgos. John Burgos has his own radio show called Beyond the Ordinary. And that's how I met you, John. Actually, he interviewed me. And after having had the privilege to be his friend, of journeying into multidimensional heavens with him, because he's amazing at not only having a great conceptual understanding of the universe, the multidimensions, and how time-space functions, but he also has the uncanny ability to see inwardly a lot of accurate perceptions that dovetail with what I saw, and we both would sit with closed eyes and go into inner dimensions and share things we would see and the readings we would get. And I've been very honored to share those moments of silence, lengthy 20-minute long meditations, we'll call them, with you, John. And I've already given the audience a little overview just before we started here as to what you do. So thank you so much for being a guest here on our show today and sharing your quintessence wisdom of your many interviews and what you've learned in life from all the amazing people you interview. So thank you for being on the show. And I'm talking to you here from Hawaii, correct?
Yeah, I'm in Hawaii, in the island of Kauai, which is a beautiful embrace that we receive here energetically.
Yeah, and I'm talking to you from the island of Bali. So bear with us if we have any delays in the film, any jerkiness, because it's more than halfway across the planet that we're talking here. John, you have been working with the people for years now in your Beyond the Ordinary show, and I know you really take it beyond the ordinary. What have you gleaned in the understanding? How would you say the matrix of time-space, the universe, works from all the things you've gathered from your interviews, and how you understand that life and time-space works now?
Oh, that's such a fantastic question. And I actually want to segue just back quickly into our meeting. And what happens really as part of the segue is that when we're really ready to show up and we make the commitment to show up, the universe provides us congruent mirrors of what's accessible to us. And you happen to be one of those. So what's been showing up is I've been willing and have made the commitment for my growth, for my spiritual growth, to keep evolving. The energetic match has shown up in the form of these beautiful beings, one of them including you.
Thank you. So that is so true. So you're saying that when we open up and we ask the question to the universe, the answer is given. And that alone is mind-blowing. I mean, that alone is mind-blowing, that whatever we put out, an answer comes back that replies accordingly. And that obviously applies to what we carry in our vibration, not just in our thinking, right?
Well, it's that, and there's also has to be a commitment to show up in a different way, because we've been taught, and culture has tried to lead us in a direction to really control the masses. And so what we're doing is we're deprogramming the way that we ask to receive. And so we have to eliminate fear, we have to eliminate judgment, and really step forward from a foundation of that purity of love that we're asking to receive from others, but take it in first and extend that invitation outwardly so that we can be open to receive it.
That's true. Yes, so beautiful. So what we have to do is inwardly become the resonating factor of what it is we want to encounter outside of us.
Absolutely. And again, we have to be willing to look at those things that cause fear, that cause judgment, that cause doubts, and go inward bit and actually take it in and invert it as part of us that's really looking for resolution. That part of us is really looking for that love that we seek outwardly anyway. But once we can embrace that and have that communication and allow that to go forward holistically with the communication that's coming through us from the universe, then we can really start co-creating something that makes a meaningful difference, not only for our own lives, but the ripple effects that it causes environmentally because of other people that we surround ourselves with in the congruent match.
Right, exactly. So can you share a couple ideas of how does one sit with one's fear or with one's insecurities, with one's angers, whatever those are that are in the way of receiving the love? Let's say, people find themselves in relationship and say, you're not giving me this, you're not getting me that. And obviously there is a resonance factor with something that wants attention within ourselves. Or else, how do we deal with it? Maybe you can give us, you've gleaned you have so many people having amazing techniques in your shows. So tell me something you've gleaned or that's something you practice.
Well, what I practice, and I think it's really essential, and we really have to make the commitment for ourselves, and dare to have our heart broken 1,000 times over. Because we live in a world where we've shielded ourselves up from receiving. There's so much that wants to come in, but we're hedging. We're trying to protect ourselves. We're putting up walls so that things can't get in, so we can hedge against a disaster occurring. But in essence, we're really breaking our hearts by doing that, because we're not allowing what we're seeking to show up. So we can really from the heart, we can talk about it intellectually all day long.
Right.
You could make that commitment from the heart, and you can resonate it from there, that I am willing to show up in my truth.
So tell me, how do you do that? Like, how do you unhedge yourself? How do you go into that part of you and that says, okay, I'm afraid, but I'm going to venture out. I'm going to commit to show up. How do you do that? Tell us a process, because, that's a thought that I can really grok. I love it. Obviously, I have my own ways of doing it, but I love to hear from you. How do you do that? And guide us listeners and viewers along with you.
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, because there's multiple ways to approach that. But
Yes.
First, has to be the realization that we have to be willing to become vulnerable enough to do it. And so vulnerability is key in all of this. And vulnerability gets taken from a place where it's something that puts us at risk to really something that opens up probably our biggest strength that we have within us. And so the first thing that I would do, and for so many people that are listening to the show, all the women out there, especially women, you're so empathic. Mm-mm. You're so empathic and so sensitive and so knowing that it's time to really own that as a gift. Because for so many years, we've been living in a male-dominated world where that wasn't valued, where it was ridiculed. You weren't strong enough. You had to stand up, and it's a dog-eat-dog world. And it's, no. Right. We can't shut down our greatest gifts. And if someone else can't deal with that gift, they're just not the right community for you. Whether that's a personal relationship, your business, whatever. It's really finding that congruent match that we talked about earlier, so that you can co-create on top of that. Because once you find that match, it doesn't stop there. Then the wheels start spinning. Then the co-creation starts happening, and you start exploring new realms, which is beautiful.
New people, new ways of interacting. A lot of people ask me that too. It's like, how come you always have these nice people around you? Well, you put it out. You give first. And I think that's what you're saying, is become the emanation, that feminine spirit that dares to just go, okay, yep, that might hurt, but I'll show up anyways. It doesn't mean being foolish. It means to encounter yourself and just go, okay, I'm willing to feel what is in me. And just acknowledge that. And then I remember, when I asked that question, I thought, wow, I remember when I lived in Hawaii, sometimes I'd come into these moments of like going, Don, my husband, you're not giving me this enough or not that enough. I want this more, energetically, time, space, love, attention, whatever it is. And then I turned back around and I said, start giving what I want to receive. And I started opening up that vulnerability that you're sharing about and saying, okay, what I want to receive is maybe more extra attention, love, or care. Let me give it. Because what I want to get is necessarily having to be what I first give. Give and you shall receive. It's not receive and then you shall give. It's give and then you shall receive. And so we give and extend, and we might get hurt in the process. Like you said, we might lose our heart and get hurt. So what?
Awesome.
Yes, there's more to come, and there will be people who will resonate and who will fulfill that, because it's how we show up to the universe. So thank you for pointing that out.
It was so beautiful, Ilona. I was actually in a relation. I was in a long-term relationship. It lasted about 3 years. And when I first met this woman, she's absolutely beautiful in my heart, I started getting afraid. And I actually remember I was sitting on the couch one day in Houston, Texas. This new relationship had shown up, and I could feel what was coming, what was emanating. I can feel how much she loved me. And I started shaking on the couch. I was shaking. I started being afraid.
Yeah.
I could feel my shields, and I had to make the decision right there and then. And the awareness came in. It's like, hold on a second. Am I going to stay stuck where I am now, knowing that this is as good as it gets by shutting down? Or am I willing to open up and dare to be heard, dare to feel, dare to go there? And in that instant, when I acknowledge that within myself, I'd rather feel that love for 1 second of my lifetime that's an amplified version of what I can experience before, and have my heart broken than never to experience it all. I could not live numb anymore. I will not do that. It's impossible for me, because I will not sit in that suffering alone anymore. It's not necessary.
Oh my God, tears are coming to my eyes. I don't know if you can see that. The moment before you said that, the picture showed up. That is this famous saying. It's Ralph Emerson's thing. It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved in your life. I mean, it just gives me chills. And the other sentence is, only love will move us forward. And essentially the same holds true for opening to the subtle dimensions, to God, to the higher worlds, with each other. There is no certainty. I open up to you and you may or may not show up the next moment. So what? I had that opening. You know, right. We had that moment of incredible celestial encounter, and that remains true. That will remain in my eternal memory.
It's infinite. Love is infinite. And once you tap into the vibration, you carry it forward with you. The problem is we get into judgment as to how we're supposed to receive it.
Say that again.
We get into judgment as to how we're supposed to receive love. We judge how we receive it. If it's good, it's only valuable if it shows up X, Y, Z, which is our construct based on old patterns that felt good before. But I want to tell everybody listening right now, there's stuff that's better than what you've experienced before waiting to show up.
Yes.
Let's stop trying to recreate the past, and let's invite the wonder.
Yes.
The awe, the mystery that's waiting for us if we only dare to open up just a little bit.
More. Yes, let's do that. And so when we open up and step into that unknown field, it's also like we step into the cosmos, we step into God, and we say, okay, show me. And I think that's what in one of your little interviews that you've given of yourself, it's like you've opened up the dialogue with the universe, and you make it like conversations with God, right? And can you share a little bit about that, how you do that, and how your opening to the infinite is the same love affair in a way as the love affair that you might encounter with the other? It's actually the blueprint to the love affair with your other in the physical, isn't it? Can you share a bit about that?
And actually, instead of sharing a story behind that, I want to give everybody an exercise, which I think is wonderful.
Awesome. Yes.
And I do private counseling. I did it before, and I stopped doing it because I wanted to reach more people in the world. Not only my work, but with the co-creation that I get to have with people like you. Because when you and I get on a call or do something together, we amplify, we co-create, we take things to another level. Right. Because we bounce things off of each other based on our congruency, based on our field and the intention of it.
Yeah.
So it's really important. So guys, do this exercise, and what you realize about yourself will be tremendous. So
All right.
first thing, it's a 2-step process. Write a love letter to your divine love. Write the gratitude for how he or she has shown up for you, what it has meant for you, what is emanating from your heart, but by being able to receive love in this manner. And really put your heart into it. Try not to get into your head so much, or the judgment or the dream of what it is, but just really pour your heart out. And if that person's in your life now, fantastic. If not, feel the promise of that person in your field, because he's there, she's there. I promise you. I promise you. Go through that, write it, give yourself a couple of days, read it a few times, then go back and read it to yourself in the mirror. Read that letter in the mirror to your beloved, and allow the emotions to come up. Allow that to stir things up. Once you finish doing that, go back, read that same letter, but read it to yourself. So that letter that you wrote to your loved one, it's actually a letter that you wrote to yourself. And see how that reflects back what's emanating, what wants to come into you, that perhaps you're not acknowledging that you're ready to receive from yourself, but that you have been receiving. And that allows your energy to expand. That puts you into an awareness now that puts you into this first and chakra power center that amplifies what it is that you really want to create, what you really are ready to receive, and what you're really ready to give out into the world. It's a beautiful exercise. You will be changed forever by doing that.
I got really inspired by that, because it's so true. What you're saying is, one, we write it to the other. It's like, oh dear, I embrace how your awesomeness and all that is. Thank you for showering me with your time, space, and gorgeous light. The other one is, we have a dialogue with our as soul. It's almost like a dyadic relationship. We have our personality, our mind, and we invite the essence of our true self to enclose itself, to come into the embodiment. And that's a relationship as well. It's almost like the humanness and the divine becomes one as we create that love relationship that you're saying. And it's not just out there always projected on another. It really is about the divinity of the source code of ourselves entering into all our cells and allowing that to come in. That is so beautiful. And if I may, it reminds me of the Buddhist tantric teachings, which are oftentimes misunderstood with the word tantric. What they do is they have the imagination of the meditator, and then they meditate on a divine being, an entity, a goddess, a god, a quality, whatever it is, and it's the other. And then they start merging themselves into that deity, and they become one. So it's a triangular relationship between self, the other, into merged consciousness. And that's what you and I do. That's when we ascend in our stillness into a current of luminosity towards the source, towards God, and that opens up the total true center of love, which is the union of two into one, right?
Absolutely. I love that you mentioned that, because what you're mentioning is really an advanced application, but I want to invite everyone that it really isn't, that we're all ready to integrate those type of awarenesses and exercise into our being. We're in this amplified state of the time continuum, and there's so much accessible to us now, and we're so much directly connected with our higher selves and cosmically, where that allows us to expand to go. That I want to get away from advanced teachings, and it's kind of like Bikram yoga. Everything is advanced yoga. It's all beginner yoga, because we all start from the same place, and we're all aspiring to new levels, but the levels just depend on where that person is. We're always seeking mastery.
Right, it's always a next step.
No matter how advanced
I mean, I don't think there's much advancement about it, in that you envision the other as the other, and you start focusing into the part of you that meets the other in a place beyond your two selves. Like Rumi says, meet me in the field. The field is the space beyond the duality, beyond the apparent differences between you and me. But it does take, and believe me, it takes training to access that. It is simple in that I can meet you in my heart, I can meet you in my envisioned sense of oneness, and I can take that to whatever next level I'm capable of. That may be this high compared to somebody else who's already here. That doesn't matter. It's always, like you said, a next step. But it does require our attention to something that is greater than the two parts. And that's what I always love to bring out in as many conversations as I can. And how, when you go into that beloved relationship with yourself or the other, tell me some of the visions or experiences you get. What happens then? How is that field that Rumi writes about? What is that looking like? What is it?
Wow, it evolves in so many different ways. And just when I think I have it figured out, something new comes up around it.
Sure.
We're always going into bigger versions of love. Again, it's infinite. What I find for myself, first of all, for example, in that space that you and I go to, what really amplifies it tremendously is really the core foundation of why. It's my intention is really, I'm very innocent in my nature. I carry this innocence, wonderment, wanting to know more, and don't pretend to know what I don't know. But will own what I know, knowing that it can change 2 seconds later, right? It's great.
Right. It'll become known, right?
It's just one of those things, but I give myself permission to go there, but the intention is always, the foundation is always love. And when I go from that foundation, it's just, things can evolve in a much easier way.
So take us out of Plato's cave into the ascension, into the light, and describe it to us. Describe it to the ones who may yearn to go there, who may yearn to find out what lies beyond. And maybe you can give a little snapshot to the viewers.
Oh gosh, I can share one exercise that I've done before, and it'll help to take you there. And it's really just sit down with the intention to meditate. Light a candle in front of you and focus your gaze on a candle. And when you go in, set the intention that you're just want to open up and give gratitude for what's been coming in. And with that intention and the gratitude, let it start welling up within you without any judgment as to what starts coming up. And focus and just breathe gratitude out and allow to whatever's going to come in without judgment. If it's positive, supposedly negative, just breathe gratitude out and whatever comes back in. And what starts happening is you start building upon the energy of gratitude, and you find out that a relationship starts forming with an unseen energy, with an unseen force that wants to give back to you. Mm-hmm. So as you breathe out, see how you can relax in your breath and receive, and keep allowing yourself to receive. The first time I did this, and it was a totally guided meditation that I get, a very good friend of mine gave me this candle that she had purchased from a Kabbalic temple in Israel, and it's very special. It's like, this is really energetic. Anyway, I lit it up. I sat in front of my window, beautiful sunrise coming down, and I just started breathing gratitude. There's so many great things that were showing up, and a lot of challenges also. But I was filling up. It's like, I'm also grateful for the challenges, because I know they want to lead me to the other side of the challenge. And I just kept breathing in, and as I started breathing the gratitude out, I started feeling this receiving. It's like, wow, what is this? It's like, okay, this feels wonderful. And I started welling up, and I was just so grateful. And so I wanted to give all that gratitude, and I took every ounce of what was given back to me and I sent it back out. It's like, thank you. I don't deserve it. Let me give it back to you. And as I gave it out, it come back to me, and I saw a chalice in my meditation. And as my chalice filled up, I sent it out, and then it'd come back 5 times heavier. Yeah. And 10 times more. And my chalice, it would just overflow with this divine love that was coming into me. I could not stop the receiving. If I were to stop the gratitude and stopped it flowing out, it still kept coming and pouring in. And it's infinite. It's accessible to us. The problem is that, Ilona, with a lot of us, is that we don't take the time. We don't sit down. We don't focus on it. We want to have intimate relationship with others, but we're lacking the most important intimate relationship, which is intimacy with self.
Yes.
And intimacy with source.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
If we take the time to do that, what breeds from that will surprise you. It'll take places that you can't do until you start accessing that.
Right. Actually, I'm going to show you my cheat sheet. What I do is I have my Living from Vision app, which, well, here it's already open to the morning exercise, but it's a little calendar and it has 5 different audios for the morning and evening. And one of the exercises is what you're grateful for today. And then today, is a date. I go in the morning exercise, and then it just guides me on a guided meditation for 15 minutes, pre-experiencing the day, charging up my wishes and goals, but bringing myself in the evening back to gratitude, to feeling what was good, what wasn't, what I really wanted, and coming back to self. So I have to say, if I don't have time to meditate, I at least do time 15 minutes with my morning and evening audio exercise, which of course I'm always trying to promote here as the Living from Vision course is like, do it. It is phenomenal. People from the last 25 years keep writing me saying they've just turned their lives around. They keep using it. So I love how you said it takes the relationship with self. We always look for intimacy with others, but really where we fashion that cauldron is, and I love what you say, is give it back, give it out. It's in the giving that you shall receive. Yeah. So yes, is there any other message? I mean, I really hope people come to your Beyond the Ordinary show. Your guests are amazing. You pick the most outrageous people from around the world that live outside the box, as do you, and are daring to speak the truth about whatever they may think. So even though we didn't quite cover my original sentence, what's your concept about time-space matrix, I guess you would, how would you sum it up? If you could give us like a 1-minute answer on what is time, what is this universe, what is it about?
Yeah, I think it's funny. I joke with friends that this whole world is about me. It's all here for me.
Yep.
But the same is true for each and every one of you.
Yep.
And that's what this time matrix is about. It's giving us an opportunity to slow down this fast moving energy enough where we can see a reflection of the energy that we're emanating and experience it and get to know each other again more intimately. And that's all it is. And whatever we're experiencing in life, it's just an emanation of that. And what a wonder that we get to be here in human form to experience the sensuality that we've been gifted. And I think that's the essence of it, that we have this glorious gift that we've been given. Let's use it. Let's enjoy this physicality as much as we can. Let's enjoy touch, smell, these experiences. Let's enjoy creating with others. Yes. And in that, we really make use of our opportunity to create on a soul-to-soul basis in a way that we can't in other realms.
Right. And encounter heaven on earth here all around us. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, yes. This is a divine matrix, and it's God breathing in and out of us, around us all the time. Thank you so much, John. I love our connection whenever we get a chance to it. And I invite all of the listeners to take a look at John Burgos on Facebook. You'll be found there, or beyondtheordinaryshow.com, right?
That's correct, yes.
That's all right. So thank you very much for being here with me on this show today here on Women's Broadcast Television Network, live with Ilona Selke on Quantum Living. And I'll see you, the audience, back again next week with another show of another amazing guest. Thank you so much, John. See you on the inner side.
Love to everybody.
Bye.